which was an institutional structure that was intended initially to meet goals of inclusion, but served a role of extracting out black and brown teachers from classrooms. Which then, because this is what black folks do real well, if y'all don't want me, I ain't want y'all neither. It's a survival mechanism. So if y'all don't want me, I don't want y'all neither. Forget teaching, I ain't with it. Y'all with me? Yeah. It's literally an inbred perspective to be able to push back against something that you love when folks say it ain't for you, as a survival and therapy mechanism. Because if we were supposed to sit and nest ourselves in the fact that the structure of school in the United States necessarily extracted out black and brown bodies from what was our calling for the beginning of time, it would hurt too much. So because it hurt so much, we moved away from it. Which is why we have 83% of the teachers in urban spaces being white educators. And why we look poorly on teaching as a community when we knew it's our calling from the beginning of time. Teaching and preaching were our thing. And teaching and preaching were the same thing, or seen together, because the preacher was a teacher and the teacher was a preacher. So the teacher understood that the work of teaching was to inspire, was to connect, was to create an open emotional space. Now in the church, the goals were to lead you to Jesus or to make a little extra dollars for the pastor. Whatever the goals were, we're going to talk about that, right? So we talk about toxic masculinity, we got to talk about toxic Christianity, right? There's become a contemporary iteration of a larger capitalist structure that gives money to very few and leaves the others keep coming back at Thursday for more. Yeah. But that's a whole other conversation. But outside of that, the pedagogy of those spaces are essential. Are y'all with me or not?
Yes.
So what's an exemplar of the pedagogy? Let me get practical with y'all real quick. I go into a Pentecostal black church. I got a co-teacher that's teaching me individually, despite the fact that there are hundreds of people. And that co-teaching is what? That co-teacher is what? Music. We're now walking into a church silent.
Mm-hmm.
Kids walk into a classroom silent, though. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, they walk into a classroom, not only silent, but sit down quickly and do their do now. Which is not only just emotionally silencing, but physically incarcerating. As a precursor, like you, so I said to you before that freedom and no fear is the precursor to any progressive pedagogy. At the same time, we got a structure of schooling that polices music and polices the body as a precursor. So that means you done lost me for 40 minutes already. Your first 10 minutes done told me the rest of the 30 is going to be a battle. Versus if I came in and the instrumental to my favorite track was bumping.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the lyrics might be problematic. And here's the thing, people like it, but the lyrics are just all off like, yo, fam. The text you're using is problematic. Nobody judging you on that.
Right.
6 years, we ain't talking about that. Ain't no black and brown based in the textbook, we ain't talking about that. So, this idea of critiquing what is negative about what is therapy for our populations, without critiquing the flawed structure of traditional schooling, is such a hypocrisy. So when I say bring an instrumental in, if your first response is hip-hop is problematic, yo, you a sucker, B. You can't even talk. Yeah. You got mad more work to do. So now I got the instrumental bumping in the backdrop. So when I come in, I'm feeling lit.
Yeah.
I'm feeling free. Y'all with me? Mm-hmm. So now I'm lit. I'm a little louder. We didn't even talk about that. What if I told you a little loudness, a little physicality is a precursor to good learning?
Right.
Yeah, my people. The fundamental structure of the thing is so broke. Now, I ain't even get to nothing yet. I'm talking about how broke the first 5 minutes is. Huh? Like the first 5 minutes is so broke, you done missed the boat with that alone. That I need to turn up to feel good. Mm-hmm. Once I feel good, I can learn. Now you so scared, you know what it is, y'all? The issue is, we are scared of what black and brown freedom looks like.
Oh man!
That's the real thing. We are afraid of what black and brown freedom looks like because in our imaginations it's been attached to being anti-intellectual and anti-academic. You need the whole system needs a whole rewiring. Everything that you said was dumb is actually smart. everything you said was stupid is actually genius. So the whole thing needs rewiring. Because when my kids come into my class a little hype, I know that my job is to create a pedagogy that matches their hypeness and then increase the content level. I turn the volume up emotionally. I turn the volume up with the academic rigor as well. The reason why they turned up and not engaging is because they turned up and they got no rigor to match it. So now it's like, what are we going to do with it? Wild out. I would wild out too. It's a natural thing. I come in their height. You can't match my height, so wild out. I come in their height. You hype too, and we got content, let's learn. It's a simple thing. Y'all with me still? Yeah. Now I got the music that ushers me in. Now, the thing about music is, it's also not just a hype mechanism, it's also a simmering mechanism. Yeah. So if I come in the morning, I might get a little turn up. After lunch, I might get a little simmer down. Either way, the music is my co-teacher to construct the appropriate emotion for the learning given the time of day. See, that's the issue with us. And even the concept of cultural relevance, we're looking for general fix-alls without recognizing that look, how can you be culturally relevant if you don't understand that culture is dynamic? It's ever moving, ever evolving, ever changing, it changes by the minute. The culture of my first period class and the culture of my 10th period class are different. The culture in Brooklyn is different than the Bronx. The culture in East Baltimore is different than downtown. Damn it, like every space got its own unique culture. So cultural relevance as a blanket approach is flawed. You might have blanket tools, but the pedagogy's got to be unique. Like you got blanket approaches. Like music is a blanket approach. What happens with the music is uniquely developed based on the local understandings of that population and that community. Y'all with me? Which is why the past is always known along with the music, that you got to create spaces to let the culture generate itself. Like when he says, brothers and sisters, the Lord just spoke to me. And he said, just go touch somebody and go talk to somebody, right? In the middle of his sermon, you don't think he got goals? You don't think he got benchmarks he has to hit? I'm dead serious. There are things he wants to get done. But it's also a recognition of the fact that I've got to be in tune with the learner. So if the learner, you think the Lord is speaking to him? I mean, I'm not trying to diss your pastor. Some maybe. But, you know, it's not the Lord per se all the time. It's my ability to read the students. Yo, the whole church asleep. The Lord just spoke to me. Get up and go touch somebody. Let me tell you something. If there's no space for a get up and go touch somebody in your lesson plan, y'all don't want to hit that part. Is it a bell-to-bell, hyper-structured, but culturally relevant approach to instruction? Y'all with me? You can be culturally relevant in your bell-to-bell stifling instruction. Part of cultural relevance is recognizing the space to allow the culture to do what it do. So you got to create it's a return on investment conversation. I want to get business like, you know, I got to understand in my 40-minute block, if I go bell to bell and nobody receiving nothing, it's a waste of my time. If I create a 3-minute moment for freedom, and I got them connected with me, I got 37 of good instruction. That's cultural relevance. Cultural relevance is the allowance for the space for culture to simmer. You know what I mean? That's the difference between fast food and slow food. You know what I mean? We can go to McDonald's and pull up and get enough of a meal and make you not feel hungry in a moment. You be hungry 2 hours later wondering why. It was trash. But soul food? And soul food takes time. Right? Anybody ever go for like a soul food? I'm just talking about my family. I don't know about your family. But when we go to have dinner, like my wife's family, because they like southern. Like this southern. Like they like South Carolina. People, you know what I mean? Like, when we go down there, first things first. When we down there, if you're not participating in the preparation of said meal, you will not be partaking. Huh? If you ain't, at the very least, you got at least 2 snaps and greens and milk and potatoes. But you got to be involved in the process. There is no culturally relevant curriculum if it's not constructed with or even by the young people. They will not partake in that dish. There's no emotional investment in it. That's the first things first. Then once we get there and everybody got to be a part of the process, there's a certain communality that's birthed. There's a certain, this is might sound a little radical, y'all. There's a certain jovialness. Somebody gonna get, this is hard to share. Somebody gonna get snapped on. Now this makes educators really uncomfortable. Are you saying then that the kids insulting each other is part of teaching? Listen, y'all. Listen, y'all. Yo, we're so far off, yo. Let me tell you, there's an art to snapping. There's a language and there's a nuance in it. And there's a barometer, a built-in barometer. When somebody eyebrows lift up, you be like, oh, my fault. Like, when you know what the line of toe is. But once you understand how to toe that line, the commonality that is built out of, in fact, the snapping is a mechanism for building the resilience to overcome the oppression of society outside. My brother here look like me. He's fresh, suit cut, nice, all that. So we can talk. And that's why you out here sitting in the front row, your head mad shiny under them lights. And he would be like, my head shiny, bro? And this is shiny and shaped right. You know what I mean? And we laugh and we joke and there's banter. But commonality is birthed out of the creating of the space to be able to engage that way. And also not the policing of natural expressions. Most of the suspensions I've seen is based on a misunderstanding of jovial, natural community engagement and is misinterpreted by an educator that has no cultural clues about how to engage. I've seen suspensions because you touch somebody's fitted. You know what a fitted is? You know what a brand new baseball cap is? That's my crown.
Yeah.
You gonna tell me, well, gentlemen shouldn't wear hats in buildings. Such shouldn't talk such crowds of kings.
Yes.
And when I respond in kind to that, in anger, you mistake my response for being anti-establishment, and that begins a whole thing that get me locked out. But here's the real bad. So my book dropped, and it got real popular. And, because it's good. Who got the book? Just for the record. Who don't have it? Who don't have it? Amazon, that's not only here, get on Amazon now. You do two things at once. So,
You said while I'm talking.
that's the point. But, yo, my heart rolling in the world, I can't even sometimes. Like, I lose myself in it because good, culturally connected work is so intuitive to some folks. It's so and it's so troubling when you've got to fight your intuition for a structure that frames itself as well-intended. And your gut tells you it's wrong. And this is black folks and white folks alike. White folks too. You know that curriculum is whack. Sometimes we gotta can we just stop for a second and have a conversation with yourself? Huh? Like, and if you lose your path in a conversation with yourself, find your moral compass. And you know how you find your moral compass back to Pentecostal pedagogy? Through an affirmation of reminding yourself of why you did the work to begin with. Look, 9 out of 10 white educators I engage with around urban education are not poorly intended people. They've been fashioned that way by their experiences of the institution.
Right.
Yeah. Come on.
And they've forgotten what brought them to the work to begin with.
Right.
Yeah.
See, Pentecostal pedagogy is also about affirmation. When I say, can I get an amen, you know.
Amen.
Why? Why do you know that?
Church. It's church.
No. Like, you just know. And when I say God is good, you know,
all the time.
even if you don't believe it, you know the response. Now, let's talk. Can we deconstruct this? Can we deconstruct this? So boom. The reason when I say God is good, you know all the time God is good, is because in many ways it is an affirmation that requires a call and response. Just for the record, call and response is culturally relevant, culturally sustaining, culturally important, and significant pedagogy. If there's no call and response to your instruction, you're missing something major. And it doesn't have to be call and response around sort of emotive, sort of like Christian-based approach. Like you gotta have a call and response around your instruction. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Can I proceed?
Yes, indeed.
How you know yes, indeed? How you know?
From the song.
Hip hop, you heard it, you know it, right? And so I can have a call and response around my content for my students, but also for myself to find back my moral compass in a situation that robs me of it consistently. Before we can do culturally relevant teaching and learning for young people, how about we do some culturally centering work for educators? Come on. If you're broken, lost your moral compass, don't know what's right to do, following things that your gut was telling you initially was wrong to do, and now you don't even listen to your gut no more because you can't hear it. You need a recenter. Look, this morning, this good sister called me. What time did you call me, sis? 7 o'clock. And she said, Chris, we're downstairs having breakfast. Would you like to come down for your talk? And I said, nah, I'll come down in about an hour. I'm having a conversation right now. And I didn't mean to be dismissive, sis, but I had to send that message. And so I said I'd be back down at what time? About an hour. 8 o'clock. And then at 8, when you text me? 8:05 or something. But I wasn't ready because I was having a conversation. And then around 8:40, there was a young sister that was walking by. She had a little pizza. Where you at, sis? What is this? Yeah. What time was it? Like at 8:40, right? Like something like that. 8:40. I kind of felt, okay, it might be that time. So I came down. I met the sister. We talked. We walked in. So from 7:15 to 8:40, I wasn't ready to come down to meet the sister, right? I knew I had to be here at 10 or something like that, but I wasn't ready because I was having a conversation. Who was I having a conversation with?
Yourself.
I'm talking to me, and I'm talking to my ancestors. You understand what I'm saying? You might want me there at 7:15, but we're not done talking yet. So gotta wait. You understand what I'm saying to you? And as I'm having that conversation, what am I doing? I am doing affirmations and calls and responses to get my spirit right for this here talk. Y'all don't know. I might be going somewhere they don't go. They don't go here when they talk this talk with y'all, but I'm going to go here. Let me tell you something. Anybody who's been charged to deliver a message to another person that has the opportunity and potential through that platform, whether classroom or public speaker, to transform the lives of the individual, to go do right, to change their legacy, got to take time first to affirm and center themselves and have their ancestors speak through them before the work is done. Otherwise, it's intellectual battling. I don't want to call for my PhD to talk to y'all. I could do that. I don't want to call forth my citations to talk to y'all. Let me tell you, that's easy. Let me tell you something. This right here, that is perceived as academically and intellectually rigorous academic conversation, is easy. This is rudimentary, simplistic even. Come on. When all the slides is up, they're up there, and they got the citations at the end of it, and you're hyper prepared, and the words, and then they all do it, and everybody claps, and they think it's highbrow, intellectual and academic work. That's easy. You know what's harder? Freedom. Yes. You know what's harder? Opening yourself up for something greater than you to be a vessel to transform the lives of young people. That's harder. And our collective unwillingness to tap into that dimension is why we have the issues we have in education. Look, we can have a culturally relevant conference, but we've been doing it since 99. No, not how long? And I'm not saying we ain't moving the needle, we moving something. But do you want to move the needle Or do you want to create a deluge, a force that is insurmountable, that pours out of you every day? You're going to keep ticking, or you're going to clear the floodgates, but you got to tap into a different dimension first. When I talk in the morning, I talk to teachers past. I talk to folks whose land I sit upon. I apologize for being part of the process that silenced them, and ask for their blessing to use their land as a platform for my work. Then I talk to me, and I say, Chris,